The 2026 Mazda CX-5 hasn't hit the streets yet, but it's already making waves behind the scenes. If the leaks and whispers hold up, this thing's gonna shake up the compact SUV game again. Hello everyone, this is Sully from CarLandTV. It's time to hop in the front seat, because today I'm breaking down everything we know so far about Mazda's next big move, and why the 2026 CX-5 might just be the one to watch in the crossover world. Before I start, I would really appreciate it if you would push those buttons below. The subscribe button, the notification bell, all of them. This is not necessary, but those little clicks help a brother out. Plus, it pushes me to give you more valuable car-related content on your screen. Now buckle up and let's get back to the video. The 2026 Mazda CX-5 isn't just another crossover refresh. It's a full-on rethink of Mazda's bestseller. With a bold new design, an in-house hybrid system, and a rumored premium shift, this could be the most important CX-5 yet. If you're eyeing a compact SUV, you'll want to see this. Now, have you ever glanced at a crossover and thought, yeah, that one's going to age well? That's always been my read. On the CX-5, Mazda knows how to carve out clean sheet metal without shouting about it. But this 2026 redesign, it sharpens the edges without messing with the vibe. I've owned a second-gen CX-5, and seeing this leaked photo hit the internet felt like watching your buddy show up to the reunion with a tailored jacket. It's still him, just with more presence. The front end now carries a more sculpted look. Headlights curve into a redesigned grille that ditches the chunkier chrome and picks up a tighter mesh pattern. It feels grown up without being over-designed. The lower intake stretches wider too, giving it a beefier planted stance. No fake vents, no frills, just functional lines that actually look like they belong on a driver's crossover. Around the wheel arches, it's that black cladding again, which isn't everyone's thing, but it's Mazda's usual way of giving lower trims some rugged texture. Higher trims might clean that up with body-colored arches. And even though we haven't seen the rear in this leak, spy shots suggest slimmer taillights and exposed dual pipes. Nice little touches if you care about the details. The silhouette stays familiar. Still that D-pillar notch, still that subtle rake. It doesn't try to be a CX-70 or CX-50. It's still a CX-5, just with better posture. And if the outside looks this dialed in, I'm real curious how they're setting it up under the hood. When Mazda says they're doing hybrid their way, I pay attention. I've owned a few crossovers in my time, and I've always liked how Mazda leans into driver feel instead of just chasing trends. So hearing that the 2026 CX-5 is finally going hybrid, not with borrowed Toyota tech, but with their own in-house system, and yeah, that means something. What's confirmed so far is that the new CX-5 will offer a self-charging hybrid. Not a plug-in, not borrowed, but a setup they built themselves around a gasoline engine called Skyactiv Z. Mazda says it's focused on better efficiency without dulling down the drive. Thing is, the full setup won't actually hit the road until late 2027. So the hybrid version that lands earlier will likely pair Mazda's current 2.5-liter gas engine with a transitional hybrid system just to get it rolling. That 2.5-liter four-cylinder is no stranger. It's reliable, smooth, and when turbocharged can make anywhere from 227 to 256 horsepower, depending on your octane. I've driven the turbo in a CX-5 signature trim, and it pulls confidently without drama. If they're blending that with an electric motor and tuning it the way Mazda usually does, we might be looking at one of the more responsive hybrids in the segment. Now, there's been chatter about platform changes, maybe even a move to the rear-wheel drive layout from the CX-70 and CX-90. That'd be wild, and it would shift the CX-5 into a whole new tier. But it's more likely they'll stick to the current front-wheel drive-based setup with available AWD to keep pricing in check. Either way, this isn't Mazda playing catch-up. This is them stepping into the hybrid game with the same balance and sharp feel that's made the CX-5 a favorite for folks like me who still care how a crossover drives. Let's head inside now, because the cabin is where Mazda's been slowly inching toward luxury without screaming about it. I remember sliding into a CX-90 last winter and thinking Mazda's not chasing mainstream anymore. Everything felt tighter, more intentional, like it was spec'd by someone who gives a damn about how a cabin should feel. Now with the 2026 CX-5 on the horizon, it looks like Mazda's bringing that same energy to their bread-and-butter SUV. They haven't officially shown the interior yet, but if they're following the CX-70 and CX-90 blueprint, this next-gen CX-5 won't feel like the mid-pack crossover it used to be. We're talking stitched leather on the dash metal trim, where you'd expect plastic and soft-touch panels that don't just look premium, they hold up to daily use. That's what stood out. When I had the CX-5 signature in my garage, it didn't squeak, didn't rattle, and nothing felt slapped together. Expect the center console to keep physical controls for volume and climate, which is a win in my book. Mazda knows touchscreens don't belong everywhere. You'll probably see that stubby shift knob they're using in the CX-90 too. Took a minute to get used to, but it cleans up the space and makes room for storage. As for screens, Mazda's going bigger. The next CX-5 should come with a wider, better-positioned infotainment screen likely tilted toward the driver. The digital gauge cluster should finally be standard too, and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are expected to carry over. Size-wise, we're hearing the CX-5 might grow slightly. That could mean better rear seat legroom and a bit more cargo flexibility, which honestly is one of the few knocks I had on the outgoing model. All this fits with Mazda's quiet shift into premium territory. They're not slapping in gimmicks. They're refining what already worked. Next up, let's break down the safety and tech features, because if you're cross-shopping in this segment, that stuff matters just as much as how it drives. Back when I had the CX-5 Grand Touring, I remember thinking that this thing has got more tech than it lets on. It didn't scream about it, but it quietly handled everything from traffic jams to blind intersections without breaking a sweat. That's kind of Mazda's style, and based on what we know, the 2026 model is only doubling down. They haven't released the full breakdown yet, but if you've been paying attention to what Mazda's done in the CX-70 and CX-90, the new CX-5 is about to bring more standard safety gear than ever. Expect the usual iActisense package baked in across all trims. I'm talking forward collision warning, automatic emergency braking lane, keep assist blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and even adaptive cruise control with stop and go. No more paying extra just to feel like your SUV's watching your back. Mazda did catch some heat with the 2025 model when IIHS knocked it for underperforming in its automatic emergency braking test. That surprised a lot of longtime owners, myself included. But this redesign gives them a clean slate, and if they've done their homework on sensor tuning and response times, I wouldn't be shocked if it bounces back into top safety pick territory. Now on the tech side, you're probably looking at a bigger infotainment screen with better graphics and layout. The rotary dial is likely sticking around, but wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto should be standard now, along with a wireless charging pad. USB-C ports will probably be scattered through both rows, and it wouldn't be a stretch to see Mazda introduce over-the-air software updates on this generation. What I like is that Mazda's not dangling these features only for top trims anymore. If you're buying a new CX-5, you're probably walking into the dealership with most of this tech already baked in. Now Mazda's trim game has always felt dialed in. When I picked up my last CX-5, the jump from Touring to Grand Touring made sense. You knew what you were paying for and nothing felt wasted. The 2026 model looks like it'll follow that same clean structure. You'll probably see trims like Select Preferred and Turbo Premium Plus return, each one adding smarter features, more comfort, or that extra punch under the hood. Next, with the hybrid coming in, I'd bet it won't show up on the base models. Mazda usually plants new tech right in the mid to upper trims, kind of like how they introduced the turbo engine a few years back. That strategy works especially for folks who want performance and efficiency without losing nicer materials or better tech. Where it gets interesting is how the CX-5 sits next to the CX-50. That one leans more rugged, so Mazda has space to slide the CX-5 upmarket with a bit. Classier interior, sharper tech, cleaner ride. It wouldn't surprise me if pricing starts in the low 30s and climbs into the low 40s. All this positions the new CX-5 to go head-to-head with the RAV4 hybrid CR-V and Forester, but with more driving feels baked in. By now, we know that Mazda doesn't drop things by accident. When a clean, uncamouflaged shot of the new CX-5 leaks out ahead of schedule, that usually means it's not far from going official. If you've been watching how Mazda times their reveals, the full debut will likely land before the end of 2025, probably around fall. And if that holds, you'll start seeing them show up at U.S. dealerships sometime in early 2026. Now, if you're holding out for the hybrid, keep this in mind. Mazda's own Skyactiv Z engine, the one built specifically for their in-house hybrid setup, isn't coming until late 2027. So the first batch of CX-5 hybrids won't have that new motor yet. They'll likely use the current 2.5-liter gas engine paired with a more basic hybrid system to get the ball rolling. That's not a bad thing. It's Mazda's way of getting in the game while still perfecting their long-term play. So you've got two windows to watch, one for the full redesign and another down the road for when Mazda rolls out its true hybrid tech. Either way, the timing works for buyers who want something fresh now, or those willing to wait for the full evolution. Overall, every CX-5 I've owned or driven felt like it was built by people who actually enjoy driving. This new 2026 version looks like Mazda finally had the budget to match that mindset with premium design, better tech, and their own hybrid system. It's still got that balanced stance, still tuned to feel right in your hands, but now it's dressed to punch above its weight. If it lands with the quality and pricing Mazda's hinting at, it won't just be the enthusiast's pick. It could be the one that finally pulls folks away from the usual RAV4 and CR-V crowd.